This is the true story of when Betty and Barney were kidnapped by extraterrestrials and a UFO. I'm dead serious. Just so you know, we're not talking about that little green guy, the Great Gazoo. He was a cartoon on the Flintstones and not a real person. But Barney and Betty of Portsmouth, New Hampshire were real. And they were married, last name Hill. And they claimed they were accosted and abducted by a UFO and beings on board. They tried to keep it a secret. They weren't looking for any kind of publicity. They just wanted to live their lives quietly. But the nightmares and crippling anxiety would not leave them alone. In an effort to get to the bottom of the whole situation, they both underwent hypnosis and recounted the exact same story. Even though they weren't present when their partner was interviewed, they were deeply disturbed by the haunting memory of an incident that happened several years before. They did their best to hide it. They were honestly afraid everyone would think they were crazy. But the problem was the terrifying experience was actually making them feel that way too. They both say it happened on a quiet, moonlit night on US 3, headed home from a vacation in Canada. It was a beautiful night for driving as they wound their way through the scenic White Mountains. Betty was watching the moon rise and noticed a light near it that she thought was possibly a star, or maybe Jupiter. But it wasn't. As they drove along, the light got brighter until it was obviously not a star or a planet. It was also getting bigger, meaning it was coming closer. Barney felt a panic in his throat. He tried to convince himself it must be a satellite or something similar. In 1961, everyone was very intrigued by space and the prospect of space travel. But it wasn't a satellite, nor a star, or a comet. It was a huge cigar-shaped flying craft that was completely silent. So they decided to pull over and let their dog take a whiz as they got a better look. What happened next is a little hazy. Barney says he walked in front of his car and looked at the craft, which was still a distance away, with some binoculars. He said he saw some human-like creatures, maybe 11 or 12, looking at him through the windows. He didn't remember anything after that, and neither did Betty. When they got home 3 hours late, they had the overwhelming urge to shower and wash any contamination off their skin, but they didn't know why. Barney said he was compelled to check his male parts for some reason. He didn't know why, but nothing seemed unusual. This was something so incredible, it was hard for Betty and Barney to fully comprehend, but they were convinced. They had just had a close encounter of the fourth kind. They continued to make their claims until their dying days. So what do you think? Personally, I don't know. When I started researching this subject, I was skeptical, but now not quite as much. So what does all that mean? A close encounter of the fourth kind. It's from a book by J. Allen Hynek called The UFO Experience, A Scientific Inquiry. It is still available in limited quantities, which may be why it is so expensive even today. It was made famous by the Steven Spielberg movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind in 1977. According to the book, there are 7 different kinds of close encounters. The first kind, CE1, is a visual sighting of a UFO, or unidentified flying object, within 500 feet or about 150 meters that show considerable details. The second kind, CE2, is where some physical manifestation occurs, like causing your car or electronic devices to quit working, or animals to seem to react in an odd way. It can also include physical evidence like dents in the ground, scorched vegetation, or traces of chemicals. A close encounter of the third kind is an event where actual live beings or their robots have been seen. An encounter of the fourth kind, like Barney and Betty Hill had, is when a human is abducted by a UFO. The fifth kind involves direct communication between humans and aliens. CE6 is a UFO event that results in death of a human or an animal. And finally, a close encounter of the seventh kind, where humans and extraterrestrials mate and create a human-alien hybrid. But these are all just science fiction, right? Right? Well, it depends on who you ask. For instance, there have been some very famous and seemingly intelligent people who have claimed to have seen a UFO. I'm serious. And so were they. Because, well, think about it this way. Most people still do not believe, but the numbers do seem to be on the rise. But while about 90% of us will never publicly admit it, I think there are a lot more people who really do believe that there's something out there. And if they are out there, what do they want? Maybe they're just curious. After all, we are alien to them. Maybe they're friendly and just want to know more about us. Or maybe they're looking for resources. Maybe the Earth has minerals or other substances they need. Maybe they'll take it instead of asking nicely. Or possibly they want to establish diplomacy and communications to potentially share knowledge, technology, and form alliances. But honestly, it would be difficult to imagine what kind of technology we have that beings from another planet could possibly need. Or maybe they're hungry and they want to eat us. Maybe we look tasty like sheep or cows. Maybe it's like that Twilight Zone episode. I don't know, but I can't help but speculate. We could be at a distinct disadvantage if suddenly our entire horizon was filled by extraterrestrial spacecraft. Chances are, a lot of people would die immediately from shock or heart attack. But the real question is, are they real? Or just a product of a fertile imagination? You know, people love a good story. True or not? The first movie to feature a science fiction theme was way back in 1902, a silent film called A Trip to the Moon. On the trip, the astronauts encounter alien beings. That was in a movie over 120 years ago. There have been hundreds of books on the subject too. So alien encounters are a real part of our culture. And what about Area 51? You heard about the alien autopsies that were supposed to have happened there? It's a highly classified area in Nevada that only authorized personnel can enter. There's been a lot of speculation, books and movies. While the government admits that Area 51 does exist, they say it's a secret testing site for highly classified reconnaissance aircraft. The Air Force says stay away. Don't try to access the site, even by drone. If you do and you're caught, you could end up in prison. The secrecy is due to military technology. And that's it. So there you go. If the government says there are no UFOs, who are we to disagree? I mean, come on. No real people that we know of has really seen one, have they? Well, yeah, quite a few, including Kurt Russell, who saw the Phoenix Lights while piloting a plane in 1997. Miley Cyrus claims to have seen a UFO while driving through San Bernardino. She said it looked like a flying snowplow with glowing yellow light. Demi Lovato shared pictures of UFOs she took in Joshua Tree National Park. Russell Crowe posted a video of what he said was a UFO flying over his office in Australia. And Aaron Rodgers, the NFL quarterback, reported seeing a UFO in New Jersey, and he sticks to his story to this day. So there you go, some famous people who claim to have seen a UFO. And I can hear you say, oh sure, entertainment people, they just want publicity. And I can understand why you say that. Well, how about some other people who are not in show business? Like astronaut Gordon Cooper. Before he was one of the original Mercury astronauts, he said he saw a UFO while flying over Germany in 1951. He also reported seeing a green object approach his spacecraft during the Mercury Atlas 9 mission. Or another astronaut, Jim McDivitt. During the Gemini 4 mission, he saw a white cylindrical object with a protruding arm. He took pictures, but the object was never identified. And there are other official accounts like Edgar Mitchell, who was on Apollo 14. He has publicly said that he believes in the existence of extraterrestrial life, and he thinks that UFOs have been visiting the Earth for years. And there are lots of commercial pilots who have made reports of sightings too. Plus, there are some people who are working hard to get the word out about these unidentified flying objects with a UFO database, because there are new sightings every single day, and some of them may be near you. With this database, you can search by location, by date, even by shape of the craft. So, why is it such an official secret, such a wild, out there topic, that if you were to tell someone that you had just seen a UFO, they'd probably laugh and look at you funny? Why is that? Maybe it's because there are certain high-level individuals who want it that way. They want us in the dark. and not inquisitive about the existence of life anywhere else in the universe. Maybe, just maybe, they've been lying to us.